Welcome to part 2 of the addition and multiplication as objectives presentation. First, let's look at the goals for mathematics curriculum. Interestingly enough, many of the goals presented in textbooks or other curricula are not based on what we know about how children think and learn. So if given the opportunity, you should consider rearranging or redefining your goals so that they fit what we know. We have four broad goals that we want all children to develop. First is to do their own thinking and develop confidence in their problem-solving abilities. Second, to be able to solve problems in many different ways, back to that flexibility of thinking. Third, we want them to develop number sense. And fourth, we want them to exchange points of view thoughtfully with others. So the order of objectives, let's look first at kindergarten. And please remember that these objectives are given in a recommended order. They're not set up as to be mastered before you can move on to the next objective. So first of all, with kindergarten, we want children to create all kinds of relationships in many, many ways. So you want to constantly have them thinking about relationships and how things relate to one another, counting often, all those kinds of things. Quantification, quantifying all kinds of objects and all kinds of meaningful situations. The meaningful situations is key there. We want them to not count just to count, but to count in meaningful ways. And third is representation. We want them to represent number concepts primarily with symbols, but sometimes with signs. We want them to use all kinds of word problems, and then with kindergartners, don't shy away from large numbers. Remember that the difficulty of a problem is determined by the size of the second number, not the answer. So you can have children solve problems with large results. For first grade, you want to start with representation of number with signs. And then also with addition, begin with adding add-ins up to 4, then adding add-ins up to 6. We choose 6 because of dice. Then adding doubles, making tens, partitioning numbers up to 6, and so on, and then adding add-ins larger than 6. And then beginning to think of 6, 7, 8, 9 as 5 plus 1, 5 plus 2, 5 plus 3, etc. And finally, do some subtraction problems as well, but only in story problems using real-life situations. Then with second grade, it's addition of one-digit numbers, then place value and addition of two-digit numbers, multiplication, subtraction of one- and two-digit numbers, primarily again in word problems, and division primarily in word problems. So it's not that we don't address subtraction and division, but because these are much more difficult for children, we put them in the context of word problems so that they become easier. And we work first on addition and multiplication. For third grade, we're dealing with multiplication. You can see there the order of factors from 0 times 0 to 4 times 4, and then factors involving the tables, 1s, 2s, 3s, and up to 6 times 6. Remaining factors, these may prove difficult, so be careful as you're going through that. Expect them to be hard. And then multiplying 2- and 3-digit numbers by one-digit numbers. Division with third graders. Most children avoid division and subtraction. When given a division or subtraction problem, they most often use repeated addition or multiplication to solve those problems. And subtraction, our recommendation is that you use it lightly and look for the use of subtraction in solving other problems. So here's the question. How does all of this information impact what we do in our own classrooms? I mean, the critical piece is, now that you know this, how do you use it? Keep thinking about that as you move forward, and there's the next video in this module.